Hey, I'm Matt Hudgins, and he's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. Dave, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Life is good. We were just talking about the weather here in Atlanta. It's 50 and sunny, and to me, that's a great day. I might even go hit golf balls. But for you?
It's 62 and sunny, and in Florida, I'm 2 degrees above where I'd play golf. It's a little cool. Even though I'm a Wisconsin boy, I've been here a lot longer than I was there, and I like it when it's a little warmer. 72 or higher is my ideal temperature.
You're just spoiled. That's all.
I think so. And there's nothing wrong with it. I choose to live here. So.
That's exactly right. Good choices.
That's right.
All right. What do we want to talk about today?
Well, one thing I'd like to talk about is what I believe is the most important metric in business. Business is all, we often talk about metrics and or a lot of people don't ever want to talk about metrics because they're not detail people, but you track so many things, from employee hours to insurance costs to vehicle registrations and accounts receivable, accounts payable, all of those things. But I really feel that if a business focuses on one metric and one metric alone, everything else will fall into place. And I believe that metric to be the cost to acquire the customer. Some refer to as CPA, cost per customer acquisition. And that should technically, if people will focus on that cost and making that a zero cost. Okay, that's basically the holy grail of business is if, let's say the product you sell is $20. No, I need to back up before I go into that.
Yeah.
If you're Budweiser, it's real hard to have a cost per customer acquisition when you're spending billions in all these different directions on advertising. A lot of what you're doing is branding, but I guarantee you that Budweiser can tell you out of every, and they might break it down to million cans or whatever, or bottles or whatever. They have a number that they say for every, 12 pack of beer we sell, X dollars goes into the cost to acquire that customer. Okay. They know that, and that they build that around advertising costs and other things. But they have a number. They know it, and it's critical to them because if they run a sale, they know that that they're increasing so they're using the sale as part of their acquisition cost because they know, okay, we've been advertising like crazy that, it's football season or whatever season. I think they have to advertise year round. I don't think that changes, but we've been spending all this money and we're getting them into the store. But over the past, 21 days, our sales are down X. So let's lower our price, $3 a 12 pack so that's a customer acquisition cost that they know, and because they have a built-in profit margin off everything they sell. So customer acquisition cost is key. So if you have a $20 product or a $2,000 product or a $20,000 product, okay, it doesn't matter. If your product is $20 and out of every $20 that you generate in sales, $10 of that is gross profit. But if you have to spend $10 to acquire that customer, well, then you would have a break even on that product, which might be okay if your business is not about selling that first product, but about additional products, repeat business like deodorant, toilet paper, consumable items, or like in the case of, you and I both do coaching, and I've got an online coaching program for contractors. Okay. And so we have a program called the Contractor Blueprint Academy. Now, if they enter that academy, what they learn is they learn how to create basically a customer acquisition system. That's what the whole program is based on. But some people want to know that how do I do this better and faster? Because okay, now I got the system down, and then they would hire me to coach them, or in your case, the same thing. So in many cases, my cost to acquire that customer in the first basket might be X. So I know that I have to spend a certain amount to get the customer into the academy. And that's a metric that should be somewhere above zero. I mean, meaning you should make money when you acquire the customer. And if Dan Kennedy, you know Dan Kennedy, right?
Right.
Dan Kennedy states that basically the business that can spend the most to acquire the customer always wins. And so that being said, what does that actually mean? It doesn't mean that you spend money and you never get back. It means whatever amount it is, for right now, for a Google click you're in the financial services side of the business. I bet you a click is, I don't know, $12, $13 for one click to get through to your landing page. That's a huge amount to spend for one click. So if you're spending $12 on a click, let's say, you better have a really good landing page, because let's say it costs you $2,000 to acquire the customer. So you'd have to know how many clicks it takes to get to that $2,000, and you have to acquire a customer through your funnel, et cetera. So that's why I think it's such a big metric that too many businesses don't want to focus on. They just want to be the low price leader. They want to go out and bid, because the reality is acquiring customers requires you to focus on marketing instead of the things that eat up all your time. So what's your spin on that?
No, I was going to say, let's get some examples of that. So I would say that you would need to know how much you make for each product, or I call it the lifetime value of a customer. So if I'm an HVAC guy, I got to know how much a customer is worth. The customer is worth, $4,000, $5,000 because they're going to put in one unit. A customer is worth a couple $100 because they're going to do some repair work. So I got to know what the lifetime value of the customer is. And then for that, let's say, let's use putting in an HVAC unit that's a $5,000 unit, and I make 40% margin. So I make whatever, $3,000, $2,000. I make $2,000. So if I make $2,000, I'm putting in a small HVAC unit, and I make $2,000, then what you were saying is my cost per acquisition. How much can I spend to acquire a client? I'm willing to spend $1,000 on marketing, $1,000 on advertising, if I could get a client, because I'll still make a profit of $1,000.
Correct. So, and realistically, when you're talking lifetime, so
right,
your thought process, or that business owner's thought process, should be, they should be willing, if that customer is going to be a lifetime customer, they should be willing to spend almost that entire $2,000 to acquire that customer. If, in fact, that in HVAC, that's probably a great example. I don't believe they should spend that whole $2,000, because they might not see that customer again for, like, where they spend more money.
Right.
If they sell the residential marketplace, they're not going to see them for a while. So there needs to be a profit in that. And I believe there's no better way to do that than direct response marketing, because they use do you have the Mint magazine up there and things like that? Different things you get in the mail. Well, you always see in there, you'll see 20 ads for HVAC contractors, and but those ads work. I mean, that's why they're in there. I mean, right. We use the food coupons all the time, and so those ads work. But it's very hard to if you're not tracking it, it's hard to say, oh, well, that ad did X for me. You got to track it. You got to know where your people come through. And so that should mean that if you run that ad, there needs to be a direct response. Whether that is they call you and they ask for the XYZ coupon that's going to get them this, 13% off or 19% off or 20% off, whatever that is. You got to know where that person came from so you can judge your advertising.
Right. And so you go into there like we might say, like a carpet cleaner, I'll do 1 room, 2 rooms for $99. And the idea is they might be doing that at cost. It really costs them $99 to get his truck over there and to have the employees to clean those carpets, right? But the hope is we're going to upsell them, right? We're going to upsell them and doing other carpets in the house, or maybe we're going to clean the upholstery. So then we'd say, we can afford to offer such a low price, that $99 price, because that's a loss leader. That's break even on that. And we're hoping to upsell them to do more of the house or do the upholstery as well, or something to that effect. Right?
Exactly. And they only have, I mean, who has 2 rooms in their house?
Right, right.
Even a small apartment is going to have that 3rd room.
Right. Well, and once you see how clean the carpet is in those 2, everything else looks dirty anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We had that done in our basement at our old house just recently, trying to have it cleaned up. Oh, I'm skipping over here. I'm back on track. There we go.
Yeah.
You there?
I'm here. So, so whether somebody has a hard line, whether they, I think this is, I'm glad you brought up HVAC, because, a lot of my contractors are electrical, and they tend to think about products, and HVAC contractors are very different than electrical contractors. And here's why. Most of my friends who are HVAC contractors here in Florida are rich.
Okay.
It's a fact. And why are they rich? Because they sell products. Okay. They realize, and you before when we were talking, probably the biggest problem with contractors is like, I just can't find good help.
Right.
Okay. Well, if you're making all your money off labor, well, that's why you can't find good enough help. Now, if you're selling products that generate huge profits, and the installation of those products is far easier than servicing the bulk of customers, then you'll make more money just selling products, and that should be your focus. So when it comes to electrical contractors, when they're out bidding jobs to run new electrical for construction, or add panels, or do various different things that they do, that work can be very complex. In other words, they can't send, I don't want to call them flunkies, but they can't send apprentices to do that work. They got to have journeymen or masters, which are the highest tier of pay, to do those jobs. Whereas we try to get them to focus on high margin products. Let's get you to build your incoming funnel on high margin products, so that they also generate labor, but the labor is easy stuff. So you can take apprentices and teach them do this labor over and over and over again. And those apprentices become good enough at it that you can trust them doing the work. And now you don't have to worry about having the highest qualified staff. Now you can hire people for who they are instead of their qualifications. That's the other disadvantage in a service business, is that most of the time you think you got to hire qualified people. I'd rather hire the right person and turn them into the qualified person I want them to be than to try to hire the right people, because it's hard. People get habits and all sorts of things like that. So
you want to find the good people and we can train them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if what you're doing is easy enough, most people can, of course, I have an LED lighting company. Most technicians could learn to put in LED lighting, swap out existing lighting very easily. I mean, it's typically 3 wires. I mean, anybody can replace, so you have a guy who goes on a job, 2 or 3 jobs in a row. I mean, literally inside of 2 months, this guy can go do 80% of a job by himself. And that's huge. That's the whole point of being profitable. So it's about selling products at a high margin, so that's why, cost per customer acquisition, you got to have something in there that assures not just the high margin, but also offsets those issues with labor. Labor is a big problem in any type of contract.
Right. I was going to say, so what you're saying again is, just to kind of recap, would be, you're not a temporary services firm, right? Temporary services firm make money on the labor.
Correct.
They're billing out at $20 an hour, and they're only paying the employee $15 an hour, so they keep the $5 or something like that. What you're saying is, if you're a contractor, you don't want to do that. You want to make money on the product itself or the service itself, and then the labor, we're trying to just pass through. We're not trying to really make a profit on the labor. We're making a profit on the product or the service that we're offering.
Yeah, and again, it's plumbers have the same problem, because plumbers are plumbers and locksmiths have 2 things in common in the trade industry. They're very much emergency driven.
Okay.
So So that means that you got to have technicians that go out. So you take a plumber and there's a problem. In many cases, they got to send a qualified plumber to the job to fix the problem. Now, plumbing services can be great. But again, the problem with plumbers is the technician side of the business. So how do you fix that problem? You've got to have the plumber's lead funnel, what funnels their customer acquisition system has to funnel prospects in that they target because they want to sell a product or a specific. It could be pumps. It could be.
Well, I'm saying a hot water heater. Like so if you're going to build a plumber model, it might be let's sell hot water insulation. But that's a product. We know how much we can make. We know how long it takes. We can get somebody and train them how to do it. And that's our lead funnel because we're going to make X amount of dollars on the hot water heater installation. Sell the product and the installation. And we'll still do the emergency plumbing and stuff, but we're not advertising for that. We're advertising we're building a funnel for the hot water heater installation. That's what you're saying, right?
You brought that up because that's a perfect example. So a few years back, one of the things we used to sell was basically the Insta hot water. It was one of the product lines that we distributed, and we would sell to plumbers, and we would help them create a lead funnel that said, which is a perfect example. So their marketing funnel was set up to say, replace your hot water heater at no cost. And what did we mean by no cost? That basically when the client, of course, that caused the client to want to find out more. They opted in. Now they're a part of their list, and now you could advertise to them. But what you would do is you would provide them a return on investment by converting from an electric hot water heater or a gas hot water heater to an instant hot, which basically only heats as the water goes across the coils. That drove business to them. Now, then those customers have basically, they know that plumber now. And right. The point there is that drives service. You still have the service side of the business. We never want a contractor to get away from service, but you need a product that drives profitability, and you want to have those profitable customers coming into the funnel each and every month, whether it's 10 a week, whether it's 100 a week. It all depends on the customer and the size of the marketplace. In Atlanta, there's no reason a plumber couldn't have 100 customers a week coming in. They'd have to have a lot of trucks, a lot of technicians, a lot of overhead. But if the funnel was built right, none of that would matter.
Right. Right.
You couldn't do that in Savannah. So you have to have realistic expectations of the size you want to grow to inside of your market. And if you don't like your market, you got to move.
Right. But that's a perfect example. So in that model, you do the marketing funnel is for the Insta hot water, replace it at no cost. There's your tickler. There's your engage, right? And then we get somebody in and we change out the hot water heater. But now we're their plumber. So if they do have the emergency, they're going to call us because we were just here and switch out their hot water for the instant. So now we're their go-to guy for the emergency services anyway.
Correct.
Right.
And so if your lead funnel is good, your follow-up system. So for the next 3 months, I would say after 2 months, this is what I would say. One of the things we did in the second month email, It says, hey, would you send us a copy of your last 2 electric bills? And so what it did is it allowed, especially if you do it after 3 months, now you create testimonials based around the energy savings surrounding those. So the point is you're still talking to them. You're still talking to that customer. You want to, once they opt in, now it's a matter of follow-up. And I'll tell you that probably the best thing that ever happened to me, Matt, was that email, you can create campaigns in advance. I am the worst person on follow-up. If I used to have a philosophy, and I would tell a lot of my prospects, I would say, look, here's how this goes. It would usually be on my second follow-up or third follow-up call. On the second follow-up call, I would say, I'm going to call you one more time. if you don't give me a yes or a no on that call, I'm going to assume it's a no because I'm not a follow-up guy. I used to say that all the time. But now I have automated systems that'll sit and talk to them for the next 52 weeks.
Right.
It's going to talk to them once a week. And they're like, man, you email me all the time. And I'm like, no, I set that up a long time ago.
But that's a perfect example, right, of the follow-up, right? You could set up that in advance where you had the follow-up for the, hey, send me your last 2 electric bills so we can see how much savings are. Like you said,
it's already pre-made, exactly.
Yeah, already pre-made. You created a testimonial, which then maybe they'll even realize, oh gosh, I really am saving money. Holy smokes, this guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Which creates, oh yeah, them talking to their buddy at the barbecue. Gosh, I switched out my hot water heater. I'm saving $50 a month. It's ridiculous.
Exactly, precisely. And hot water heaters waste more energy than anything else in a home. I mean, you have to heat or cool your house. You don't have a choice. Those are non-negotiables. But if you're heating hot water, or if you're heating water 24 hours a day, you don't even need instant hot. That's another thing that people can do is you can just put a timer on your hot water heater. And I'm saying this, if a plumbing contractor were watching this, what I would focus on with them is, look, let's sell, it's up to you, but you could sell instant hot or water heater timers, and the water heater timer is going to cut their cost to heat water by 50%, because all night long that water stays hot in there. So if you turn that heater, hot water, the elements off, you turn it off overnight, typically that'll drop your bill $15 a month, $15, $20 a month, which, having a timer installed might be $80. So the timer might cost the plumbing contractor $15. So it's not let's say it costs $100 to have it installed. But now you have an ROI of under a year. So that contractor, if he's got, let's say, an $85 profit, if it costs him $40 to acquire that customer, he's making money from that point forward. And that's the point. Is pick a product that drives revenue and drives customers.
Well, we just built a model for the plumber. I hope there's some plumbers listening, right? So to recap that, we would say you could run a campaign with, well, either one. Let's just say we run a campaign to switch out your hot water heater for instant hot water. How would you like to switch it out for zero cost? There's your campaign, right? Now you get him in the campaign. Hey, we can show you how it doesn't cost you anything because of the savings. Then we build a follow-up funnel, right? Our follow-up, I call that our after unit, where we're actually following up with you afterwards to kind of create the testimonial. Hey, show us, tell us how much you're saving per month, right? And now I'm your plumber guy, so anytime you do have repairs, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Right? You could have a second funnel that said, instead of save 15% by installing a timer, don't need a new hot water heater, install a timer. You could have a whole nother campaign for installing timers, $80 a pop, you save $15 a month, whatever it's going to be. Hey, it doesn't cost you anything. Same campaign, just a different message. Install the timers. If I installed your timer, now I'm your guy. Oh, by the way, then I'd ask you the same thing 2 months later, show me how much you're really saving. And then, by the way, now I'm your plumber guy. If the hot water heater goes out, call me to replace it. If you want to switch over to Insta, because I could have upsold you. I could have gone in there selling you the timer and could have tried to upsell you to the Insta hot water, right? Vice versa, if you went in there selling the Insta, you could downsell them to the timer. We just created like 3 funnels for the plumber.
And, and it's funny you say that. It's that easy because you and I think that way.
Right.
But, I say this to the plumber, and a lot of times what you'll hear back, Matt, is that there are things that they have, they're false beliefs.
Okay.
And they're like, well, I've tried advertising before and it didn't work, or I tried something and it didn't work. So you have to break those false beliefs. And part of breaking those false beliefs is, first you have to get them to understand that what we're talking about is not advertising. We're talking about acquiring customers. Right. And when it's not working in the beginning, you have to tweak it until it works, until it brings customers. Once it brings customers, then you have a repeatable, scalable business.
Right.
But until it brings customers, 100% of your focus as a business owner needs to be on, okay, my cost, what's my cost to acquire a customer? If I don't know what that is, then I have to create a cost to acquire that customer. Once I know what that is, then I can spend all of my money driving customers because I know my return.
Right. And that's a great example. I would even do you exactly right. We would pick one of those funnels to build first. Let's build the funnel for the Insta hot water heater and tweak it until it's working. Now that we have it working and we know how much it's costing us, we have a vending machine. I call that a vending machine or an algorithm. We have the algorithm where I know how much it costs to acquire a client using the instant funnel, instant hot water heater funnel, right? And then we could actually build the second funnel after we got the first funnel built. We could build the timer funnel, let's call it, right? Yeah. But we could be doing the downselling in the timer if they don't want to buy our instant. We could already have the downsell inside the original funnel. But it's like, we always talk about you pick one target market at a time.
Correct.
That's not forever. We're just going to do the instant hot water until we get it right. And then we could go installing a normal hot water heater. Then we could go installing the timer. Then you could have the 3 funnels, right? So it's like, just do one at a time until you tweak it and got it working. Then you have the algorithm figured out, the vending machine built that you know that you could go spend $1,000 of ads. Is that ads in the paper? Is that ads in those the mailers? Is that Facebook advertising? But we know we could spend $1,000 and generate $3,000, $4,000 worth of business. Now we've got the vending machine.
Precisely. And it works for dentists. It works for doctors. It works for whatever, attorneys. What's amazing is, attorneys, what do they say? The riches are in the niches. Okay.
Right.
Because if you're a dentist and you do 50 different things, of course you do 50 different things because that's what you went to college to learn how to do. You do anything in the mouth, pretty much. I mean, I would think you're a dentist. You're a trained professional to do that. But you want to drive people in. You want to pick an item that's a high margin product in your business to drive that traffic. Then you're going to get the cleanings and all those other things. So if you make money off implants, we got a guy in town that advertises all the time, and that's what he's advertising is implants. Okay. He undoubtedly has had good advice on customer acquisition because he's the implant guy, dental implant guy in town, and his advertising works because if you need dental implants, you naturally think of him, and that's the point, is so that when people do end up in there and they get a dental implant, well, they're probably going to be going to him for a long period of time.
Right. Now you're his dentist. You're the standard dentist. You're going to come to me.
Especially if his cleanings are in a, again, who are you targeting? People who buy implants are going to pay more for cleaning. Right. But if you just advertise for cleaning, a lot of times people are going to look for the lowest price cleaning because the thing about dental insurance is not everybody has it. And so a lot of people want the lowest price. I mean, do you really want the lowest price LASIK surgeon? I mean, is that really what you want? Right. Because you sign a thing that says, look, if you go blind, sorry, you're blind.
Right.
There are times when, I don't think you necessarily want the lowest price. Maybe with the dentist, but not once he takes the drill out. I don't want the low price.
Right. That's price versus value. We'll have to talk about that one time. Where it's exactly. What's the value I'm getting? It's worth it to spend a little more. So I don't have to redo that again. Exactly. Hey, this was good. I think we're already at our time up. But, man, we went down a lot of roads here. We talked about cost per client acquisition. So you need to know how much your clients cost you to get a new client. You need to know how much your client is worth, call it lifetime value. We talked about building. Heck, we built a funnel for a plumber, right? We said we could. Yeah,
and what's funny is I don't have any plumbers that I currently help right now. So if you're in plumbing, Matt and I have already shown you that.
We already show you how to do it.
Yeah, and then it's just a matter of outsourcing the details. I like to say outsourcing the details. Don't try to do it yourself. So we showed how to build a funnel, how to pick one of them.
Yeah.
So.
That's pretty good. All right. Where can they find you, Dave?
Easiest place to find me is at davidmulvaney.com. I have a blog there and lots you can read. I post almost daily. I'm at David Mulvaney on LinkedIn and on Twitter at David T as in Thomas, David T Mulvaney.
Perfect. All right. And I'm Matt Hudgins, and you can find me on LinkedIn. But I got my 10xprofitblueprint.com. That's kind of my coaching website, 10xprofitblueprint.com. All right, man.
And those links are always in the show notes below, and feel free to contact us.
Sounds good. All right. Until next time, my friend.
Okay, Matt. Take care.
See ya.